Behavioral targeting is a big subject right now. Some people think it's terribly important, and others are actually saying that it's not. What is your opinion?
I think it's very important. I mean, I think about our business and particularly the three platforms that we use to offer our brand, to really understand how and why audiences and users are using each one, and who they are and how they respond. I mean, is key. It's interesting to think about video on demand service, which is hugely popular in the kid space, often has a very different function or role in a preschool household than, say, the linear service or even the website. So you really have to understand how those are being used and considered when thinking about program strategy and the things that we do, so that it's being offered in a way that people understand and get it. So you've got to look at things from all angles, and I think that the targeting is one way of doing that.
DVR use in Sprout homes versus other homes. What are the differences?
Well, time shifting is a huge deal now, and I think we're a bit lucky in that we know that time shifting in kids tends to be a lot less than for other brands. Kids and news tend to be the least time shifted cable channels, and so that's a challenge and also a blessing. I think it's a challenge in that if you tell that to an advertiser or an agency, they say, well, how do you know someone is engaged with the brand, and is it just on in the background? I think we've been able to use a lot of our custom research to counterbalance that. But time shifting is something that's certainly on our radar. When you think about busy households, you have more and more full-time working families who are consuming kids' content in new and different ways. It's on our radar, but I think we're lucky in that it's not as prevalent as it would be, say, in a different content service or some other place. I think we're lucky in that respect.
Jim, can you give me 3 predictions for the next 5 years?
3 predictions. I have a prediction that I think is a hope. I think that right now you have a lot of different people who are looking at metrics and analytics in a lot of different ways, and I think it's happening in silos, whether that's web or what's happening with set-top box data. So I hope that my first prediction is true, in that there's some convergence, that we somehow figure out how to get on the same page with some of these new and very exciting metrics that can really be powerful for informing a business and thinking about strategy, especially for an emerging network like Sprout, where we aren't Nielsen rated, which is the traditional way of doing it. When you have all of these other things happening, the hope is that one day things converge and that there's some consistency. I think the second has to be mobile. I think, and I'm predicting from a kid's point of view, there's a Fast Company cover article this month on the usage of mobile with young children, whether that's apps or what have you on some of these new smartphones. I think the more mobile technology ramps up and you go from 3G to 4G, and how easy it is to really access content using an app on a smartphone, I think this is a real game changer. It's a functional tool for a parent to access the content in a way that's very easy, and I think it's a compelling way for kids to access and share content in ways that they haven't before. I think 3D is really cool, but I'm not too informed there, so I think my third prediction will be social media, and a breakthrough in figuring out how to really measure the return on investment in social media. I think right now it's a really nice additive tool for any marketer. It's a great way for promoting a brand, building grassroots support, but there really isn't a very firm and consistent way of measuring that reach and who you're talking to and how it all fits together. So I think the third prediction would be someone solves social media measurement in a new and compelling way.
Jim, how involved are you in social media?
Well, Sprout is very involved with social media. We have an entire social media marketing strategy. A emerging brand like Sprout, we need to be in markets where our channel may not be, and social media is a great way of generating the grassroots interest in our brand. And so we're on Facebook. We have really leveraged that tool, I think, to spread the word about Sprout, but also to understand our audience. We are also on Twitter. Twitter is a great way of driving to your site or to our Facebook page itself. And we also have what we call a band of bloggers, which is a really unique group of mom bloggers who are asked to talk about Sprout, talk about their Sprout experiences, and connect other moms who may not really know about Sprout or know what it is or may not even have access to it, to educate them on what we're doing. And so social media has been a real powerful tool for us. I think from a research standpoint, I think we have work to do. Again, back to my prediction, there really isn't a really cohesive way of measuring it all, and it can really be overwhelming, and there's just so much coming in. And you certainly can see the power of it all, but figuring out a way to make sense of it and to build it into the stories we tell with our data is definitely a challenge and one we have to figure out.